Sculpting a gel nail using gel from a tub or a pot takes certain skills, but don't you worry. Greg Salo is gonna show you how right now.
In a previous video, I showed you the difference between working from a tub and a tube. What we're gonna do is we're gonna be focusing on the tub, right? So I'm gonna take concealer peach from the tub. We're gonna be mixing it with diamond dust, and I'm gonna show you how to create a custom look using those two products. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our tile. I'm gonna take concealer peach, right? And I'm going to be using a mixing spatula. I'm just going to get enough. I don't want to waste the product. Just on the end, what we're going to do is we're just going to wipe that onto the surface. And I am going to be working with diamond dust, right? So this is a really beautiful holographic glitter. I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle a nice healthy amount onto the surface, as you can see. All right, so what we want to be able to do is use the mixing spatula by kind of pressing it into the gel. And then after we've pressed it in, I want to be able to kind of flatten out the surface, as you can see. Right, and what this is going to do, it's going to be pushing out any air bubbles that could possibly build into the gel. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to be using the edge to go ahead and pick this up. I'm just going to go ahead and keep this to the side. All right, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the same process of preparation, application, and finishing, so you can see how easy the sculptured process is. I have the artificial nail set up. I'm gonna be taking a sanding band, and I wanna just gently remove shine from the surface of the practice hand. And what I wanna be able to do I want to be able to work on our electric file. I want to be able to remove shine using about 3,000 RPMs. It's a very, very gentle speed. This is going to allow me to feather away the shine without scarring it. So if you're working on the natural nail, what you want to be able to do is use a gentle speed. The same type of speed as if you were tickling the underside of your wrist. Okay. So once we're done removing shine from the surface of the nail, what we're going to do is we're going to take swipe. I'm going to brush off the dust, oils, and contaminants from the surface. What this is going to do, it's going to dehydrate the surface of the nail and prepare it for protein bond application. And what we want to be able to do is apply 2 even coats. So go through all 10 fingers. After you're done doing the 10th finger, go back and add your final coat on each nail. This is going to set you up for your base application. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our base. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull through the surface. You're gonna notice a little bit of a tail. I'm gonna tap off that tail, and you're going to notice the gel's on one side of the brush. I want to be able to set this down, and you're going to notice that as soon as I set this down, I'm going to kind of split it, and what it does is it brings 2 legs of gel. I'm going to get the tip of my brush on the inside and start working that to the outside. You can see the legs right here. I'm going to get that as close to the edge as I possibly can, and with nice even pressure, I'm going to work that from cuticle to free edge, when what that's going to do is create a nice, smooth, even base application from the cuticle area all the way to the tip of the natural nail. Once we're done doing that on all 5 fingers, starting from pinky to thumb, I'm gonna go ahead and get this inside the light. All right, and what I wanna be able to do is I wanna be able to set this, again, for a minimum of 30 seconds. And here's the thing, don't worry about counting. Work on the other hand while the hand is carrying in the light. Whatever hand is carrying in the light, you're working on the other hand. As soon as you're done, rotate and continue to work. once we've established that foundation, what we're going to do is we're going to build our free edge, okay? So before we actually start doing the overlay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my form, I'm going to pre-pinch it, I'm going to open up the back end. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to get a nice tight fit underneath. Right? You can see how when I'm getting the form on, it's kind of at an angle. I could use my hand to just lift it up. And what that's going to do, it's going to create a really straight structure. I want to be able to secure the sides here so the form is on. When you're working on the practice hand, just do one finger at a time. It's not necessary to line up all 5 fingers and try to do them all at once. Just focus on one finger at a time when you are practicing. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take our custom mix and we're going to establish a really nice free edge. Now here, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you, because of the viscosity, we're gonna need to kind of scoop it out to get a really nice amount on one side of the brush. What I'm gonna do is we're going to set this to the very, very front. So notice, right, I have connection. And what I wanna be able to do is I wanna be able to keep that connection and I wanna swivel it all the way to the corner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm trying to maintain. Notice how I constantly keep going back to grab it with the tip so that I could bring it as close to the edge as I possibly can. So once I have this contact right through here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna grab a little bit more, I'm gonna attach it to the front, and then I can start using a front to back motion. Take a look at this. Nice and easy, front to back motion. And what I'm going to be able to do is stretch out the desired length and shape that we're going to build. All right, so if you have any uneven areas, what you could do is you could take the tip of the brush, as you can see, and I can kind of come underneath and just kind of poke up to the corner. And if I need to make my edges straight, all I gotta do is kind of drag it underneath, right? And what that's going to do, it's going to create a really nice straight lower arch for you to establish that perfect free edge. You could do the same thing to the opposite side so that everything is even. Once everything is nice and even, we're gonna go ahead and get that inside light and set it for a minimum of 30 seconds. All right, so once we have the free edge built, what we wanna be able to do is remove the form. Now we have a little bit of transparency on the front end. So whatever you're building over the top, you're gonna be able to get a full cure, not just from the top, from the bottom as well. Notice where I pinch. I am going to pinch here at the front. What that's going to do is release. What you could also do is you could always take the end of the magic wand and kind of slide it underneath, right, to release the form. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull down from here, right? And what that's going to do, it's going to release everything. So you're going to notice, I could always take some really fine nippers, and you can see I'm just kind of clipping away the sides. And what that's going to do is just kind of take away the excess from the edges so that when you're sculpting over the top or building over the top, you're not going to have to worry about bringing that excess past that lower arch. All right, now what we want to be able to do is overlay the whole entire surface. And because of that custom glitter mix, that diamond dust is really going to shine. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and grab a healthy amount, okay? It's all about the perimeter. So when I set this down to the cuticle area, my focus, as you can see, as I'm working in little baby circles over the top. I'm not coming from underneath, I'm coming over the top, right? So that I could finish this whole area here, okay? Now what I want to be able to do is take the tip of my brush and with light motion, start working it from front to back. Look how I'm able to move the gel front to back, creating great coverage down the body of the nail. And what I'm able to do, since I'm using the tip of the brush, I'm able to kind of bring it down from here to here without losing contact. Now, here's the thing. I don't have enough product right here. I'm gonna get a little bit more on the end of my brush from the tile. I'm gonna reattach it. And then all I'm doing is, when I reattach it, I kind of swivel from side to side so that I'm getting both sides, and then use the tip of the brush and start to move this all the way to the very, very front end. Okay, again, If it's flat, which there isn't enough product right here, that is okay. The whole purpose of this layer is to make sure that you have the right buildup around the perimeter of the nail, all right? That way, when you're working with the product to create the right support at the apex or upper arch, right, you don't have to worry about filling in the sides. This is going to fill the sides in so that when you finish the nail, you don't file it away. All right, so one of the things we can do is we could freeze it. I can take the hand and I could bring it right in front of the light. So you see this exposure right in front of the light. The advantage of freezing is it cures slower, right? So your customers are not going to be like, ah, like with this intense thermal reaction. Right? What creates thermal reaction? The speed of the cure, right? Most gel products will do that. So if you build a thin foundation first, if you focus on the perimeter and you keep that center flat, chances of them feeling a really intense thermal reaction is almost none. Another thing that you can do is if you build a thin foundation, you see the low heat power mode right here. I'm gonna go ahead and fire that up, boom. And then my customer, again, if you build a thin foundation, can go directly inside the light, and what it's going to do, it's gonna create a slow cure. Slow cure is not gonna be super intense at full intensity. Slow cure is not gonna be full blast, right, at full light intensity. It's going to scale up. What this is going to do, again, if you establish a thin foundation layer, you're going to be able to get that foundation layer cured without that intense heat spike. Work on this hand, finish this hand, while it's inside the light, you could be working on the other. If you establish the foundation layer, you're going to set yourself up for success when you're actually building your upper arch or all the support you need to make that perfect apex. Last but not least, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to fill in the missing area. So you can see the cuticle area is done. All my sides are done. I'm going to take a nice healthy amount. And since we already have a great foundation established, since there is already a barrier of gel on the nail, you could build as much as you want on the surface, and that barrier is going to protect the natural nail from any type of intense heat spike. So I'm going to go ahead and get a nice healthy amount. I'm just going to set, now I'm not going to set it all the way to the back. I need to start where the area, right, is flat. And notice what I'm doing. I'm using what I call a tick-tock. I'm ticking and I'm talking all the way through. Tick-tock, tick-tock, bouncing all the way through, creating that great build up. And then from the front, I can get a little bit more, reattach it, and then use this to kind of blend it down and through the tip. And this is how you're going to be able to create perfection all the way through before we go ahead and set it inside the light for the final 60-second cure. After it's done curing, I'm gonna wipe the dispersion layer with swipe and file this into absolute perfection.
Give us one of these if you liked our video. We always want you to subscribe, so do that right